The rain had been falling since dawn, soft at first, then heavy enough to blur the windows of St. Harmony Medical Center into watercolor smears of gray and silver. The hospital always felt different on rainy days. Quieter, slower, as if the weather wrapped the building in a heavy blanket. Inside, the air hummed with the familiar mix of disinfectant, soft footsteps, and beeping monitors. Nurse Emily Carter, known across the wards for her calmness and disarming kindness, was finishing her morning charts when the call light blinked in room 318. New admission, a senior nurse muttered. Trauma unit overflow. He's stable, but, well, you'll see. Emily nodded, already slipping on fresh gloves. She pushed open the door. A man lay on the bed, his skin dark against the white sheets, his shoulders broad even under the gown. His name, printed on the chart clipped to the railing, read, Michael Hayes, 34, construction incident. Emily scanned the room. Something felt heavy. The air was thick with uncomfortable silence. Two nurses stood near the monitors, avoiding eye contact with the patient, whispering things they hid behind clipped smiles. Emily caught words she wished she hadn't. Careless, judgmental, unkind. Whatever reason they had for their attitude, racism, fear, ignorance, Emily didn't care. She stepped in, her voice firm and warm. I'll take over from here. The two nurses exchanged looks, shrugged, and left. Michael turned his head slightly. Pain flickered across his face. You don't have to. I do, Emily interrupted gently. I'm your nurse today. How are you feeling? He gave a humorless laugh. Like I got hit by a truck. Did I? Close enough, she smiled softly. Scaffolding collapse. You were lucky. Doesn't feel like it. Emily checked his vitals, adjusted his oxygen line, and smoothed out the tangled sheets. Up close, his hand trembled slightly. Thank you, he murmured, surprised at her warmth. For the rest of the shift, she stayed close, reassuring him, listening. Not once did she treat him like the others had. Not once did she step away when he asked a question. Not once did her kindness waver. Day by day, healing came slow, stubborn, and human. Michael wasn't used to being cared for. He had spent most of his life being strong for others. Co-workers, younger siblings, people who leaned on him. Now he was the one lying in a bed, dependent on strangers. But Emily wasn't a stranger anymore. She joked with him, making him laugh even when it pulled at his stitches. She explained every procedure, every medication. She learned his favorite snacks, the music he liked, the way silence sometimes helped him more than comforting words. He learned things about her too, that she loved old movies, that she baked when stressed, that she had a quiet, determined softness he'd never seen in anyone. One afternoon, when rain tapped at the window again, Emily entered his room to find him staring out at the storm. You okay? She asked. Just thinking, he said, about how fast life can change. She pulled a chair beside him. That's true. Do you? He hesitated, swallowing a mix of pride and vulnerability. Do you think someone like me deserves this kind of care? Her eyes softened. Everyone deserves care, Michael. Not everyone treats me like they believe that. Well, she folded her arms with a playful firmness. Then they're wrong. He smiled, the first true smile she'd seen from him. His voice softened. And you? Are you always like this? Only with people worth the effort. Something passed between them then. Quiet, honest, unmistakably warm. Recovery became their shared rhythm. Emily guided him through exercises, coaxing strength back into his injured leg. She listened to his stories, about his job, his family, the neighborhood he grew up in, the struggles he carried but never said aloud. In return, she told him things she rarely told anyone. It's funny, she said once. I help people heal every day, but I don't think I've ever let someone see me the way you do. Michael looked at her with quiet seriousness. I'm glad you did. As the days turned into weeks, Michael's body healed faster than his heart expected. The morning he was finally discharged, Emily stood in the doorway holding his forms. You're free, she smiled. Doesn't feel like freedom, he admitted softly. Feels like I'm losing something. Her heart tightened. You're not losing anything. You'll still see me around. He seemed to wrestle with something before finally asking, voice low, would I be out of line if I wanted to see you outside the hospital? Emily blinked, heat rising in her cheeks. Nurses shouldn't date patients. But he wouldn't be a patient anymore. And this wasn't a fleeting crush. It had grown slowly, organically, like something that had always been meant to happen. I'd like that, she whispered. He let out a breath he'd been holding for days. Their life together began quietly, like all honest loves do. Their first date was a simple walk in the park. Emily brought coffee. Michael brought an awkward bouquet of mismatched flowers he'd bought from a street vendor. They talked for hours, about dreams, regrets, favorite meals, the past, the future. They fit together in a way neither had expected. Michael admired her compassion, her intelligence, her fierce softness. Emily admired his strength, his patience, his resilience, the way he carried so much pain but still made space for hope. Soon, coffee dates turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long evenings. Long evenings turned into mornings where waking up together felt like the most natural thing in the world. Eventually, they moved into a small apartment with sunlit windows and a balcony big enough for exactly 2 chairs. Michael built the bookshelves. Emily painted the walls a warm, soft cream. They were still different. Different backgrounds, different histories, different scars from different worlds. Some people judged. Some stared. But none of it mattered. Not after everything they had survived. Their wedding was small, intimate, full of genuine joy. Emily wore a simple dress. Michael wore a dark suit, his eyes shining in a way she'd never seen. I never thought someone like you would choose someone like me, he whispered during their vows. She shook her head, tears glistening. I didn't choose you because of what you are. I chose you because of who you are. He kissed her hand, unable to speak. Years later, they sat together on their balcony, watching another soft rain fall, just like the day they met. Michael rested his head against hers. You saved me, he murmured. I didn't save you, she said. You healed yourself. I just stayed by your side. That made all the difference. Their story wasn't perfect. No story worth living ever is. They argued, sometimes over big things, sometimes over silly ones. They faced challenges, work stress, health scares, old insecurities that echoed late into the night. But through it all, their bond remained steady, soft, strong, true. A love born in a hospital room, tested by the world, and nurtured by kindness. A love that learned to breathe again, and kept breathing beautifully, stubbornly, endlessly.